Here we go, getting ready to head out on our first Zodiac adventure. The Zodiac experience was a huge part of our October 2023 Amazon sailing on the Seabourn Pursuit. And the itinerary, it was listed as Amazon Experience. And what that meant was we would load up into Zodiacs from the side of the ship and head into the jungle to the areas where the expedition team thought there would be really unique or interesting things for us to see, whether it was animals such as monkeys, crocodiles, birds. We also met some families living along the river. Our first port of call was Parintins, where we actually boarded a local vessel to transfer from the ship to shore. You can see here how low the water was. The Amazon was at a 110-year low, and in fact, some of the dancers in this Boy Boomba show had walked for a day and a half to get to the port to be able to perform this show because the tributary that they usually use for transportation has dried up. The Boy Boomba Festival is the third largest festival in Brazil. Carnival in Rio and São Paulo are the only larger festival. The festival centers on a bull, the myth around a bull, where a bull was brought back to life, and the teams compete. So there's two different teams, a blue team and a red team. We were seeing the blue team show, and they put on these incredible singing and dancing shows to be able to compete to who had the best show. And it was so fun that we got to go, and we even got to dance with the dancers at the end. The next port of call was Alter Do Chao, where we boarded these unair-conditioned buses and set out into the interior. And you can see here this landscape is deforestation of the Amazon. The Amazon jungle has been turned into fields to grow soybeans. But once we got into the jungle, we were able to learn more about the different plants, whether it was plants that had been used for war paint, different types of sap that you can actually use as fuel, or the drive back, we got to see the changing landscape of the soil. Each day we were given a briefing in the Discovery Center that told us what we could expect that day. Our next port of call was Macapa, which was a more developed city, one of the more developed cities we visited along our route. We went to a heritage center where we saw more dancing and learned about the traditional dwellings. And they even had a huge whale skeleton, which I thought was really fun. One of the big draws in Macapa is this monument that shows you where the equator is. So you can stand on either side of the equator. We also visited Fortaleza de San Jose, a Portuguese port that sat right on the harbor. We got to explore. Now, I wish there'd been more commentary or more signs that really explain what was going on here. We kind of just wandered around and took a couple pictures, but I didn't get a full sense of exactly what this was for. But I did get a great picture of an owl. In Natal, we signed up for an extra cost excursion to take these dune buggies into the sand dunes. It was so much fun. It was absolutely incredible. We had 2 hours driving around on the sand dunes, but the whole time we were in the dune buggies was about 4 hours because we got to drive through town. We got to drive along the coast. We even had 2 swimming stops. But my favorite thing of the day was when we had to cross a river, and this is how we did it. We loaded the dune buggies onto these, I called them huck fin rafts, and we were led across by poles. Heading into Rio was where our cruise ended, and so we had signed up for a private tour of Rio because our flight wasn't until 9:35 p.m. Highly recommend this to kill the time before you need to be at the airport. So our driver took us up and around the hills. We went down to the famous beaches, Copacabana and Ipanema, and I totally see why they are so famous. They're absolutely gorgeous with lots of stands where you can buy snacks or drinks. And then we ate lunch at this restaurant known as The Girl from Ipanema. Supposedly this is where the song was penned. I highly recommend the seafood rice dish. It was absolutely delicious. Then it was time to head up Sugarloaf Mountain. We paid to take the cable car all the way up. Now, this is one of the oldest running cable cars in the world. Now, they don't use the same cable cars. They have been modernized over the years, but just the fact that there's been a cable car running here for so long is really incredible. And you get these wonderful views all over Rio de Janeiro. You can see the Jesus all the way in the far distance. There up in the right, you can also see the bays and the harbor. And taking a look, this area just to the right was where the Olympic sailing competitions took place. And then there's these cute little critters running around. I do think it is funny that I saw the most wildlife in the cities and on the tours than we did going through the Amazon. Going through the Amazon, we saw a lot of birds, which was awesome. I'm a big bird lover, but we didn't see that many mammals. So definitely need to go on some land-based tours to check out some of these unique Brazilian animals. I mean, look at that long striped tail and that little goblin face with the cute little ears. So this was very fun to sit and watch them. And then we headed to these famous stairs that were way too busy to get out of the car, and a very famous Catholic church that was inspired by the lunar module. It is absolutely gorgeous inside, and it's so surprising to me that it actually became a Catholic church, because it seems it's so different than the other styles that you see traditionally in cathedrals. But it's definitely worth a visit, because it is probably the most unique Catholic church in the world, I think. I made that up. The tour guide didn't tell us that. But then we went to another lookout that was within the national park to get great pictures of the Jesus statue, because it is a 4-hour trek to get up there. And we didn't want to spend most of our tour just trying to get pictures of the Jesus statue.